Sarah, we welcome you to your home here at First Baptist Church of Opelika.
It's so exciting to be back here. Like Pastor Jeff said, I grew up in this church. I went to my very first Christmas Eve service at 3 months. I think that kind of states that I started at birth. And I have so many memories growing up here, from little bitty all the way up. But I can't help but think and realize that I really shouldn't be here, according to what the world says. Just like Pastor Jeff said, we make it political, we make it sociological, but according to what the world says, I shouldn't be here. Not just here at First Baptist, but I should not be here in this world at all. Because I came into this world through rape. My birth mother was a college freshman, as ordinary as I can get in the best possible way. So picture any student walking across Auburn University's campus, any student walking across Southern Union's campus. That was my birth mother, until she wasn't anymore. She was raped by 2 unknown men. She doesn't know who, what, when, where. She can't answer any of the questions. And in the world we live in today, rape means abortion. It's an automatic. I don't know how many conversations I've had with people who tell me, I'm pro-life until. I believe that all life is important, except. And I am that exception. I am the until. Because that until is until rape, except in a case of rape. And that doesn't get past me. That's something I realize every single day, that I shouldn't be here. Because it's not just something that the politicians say, it's not just something that your university professors say, it's people like you and me that I have conversations with every day. I have conversations all the time with people who, they're Bible-believing Christians. We have so many biblical conversations until we get to that issue, and then we divide paths. We split opinions. But I also shouldn't be in Opelika, because anytime tragedy happens, anytime trauma happens, in the world we live in today, we make it an automatic, well, there goes that. Life just kind of goes by the wayside. We forget the good. And so, I was conceived to a girl that was in college. I didn't know what I wanted to eat for breakfast in college, much less how to take care of a baby. I didn't know if I needed to study for my math test first or my history test first, much less what you would do for a baby from the morning to the evening, and she was no different. For whatever reason, she chose not to tell anyone that she was pregnant for 7 months. So if you're a mom, or if you work in the medical world, you realize how big of a deal that is. So the majority of her pregnancy, she told no one. She didn't tell mom, she didn't tell her best friend, she didn't go to a doctor's appointment. She was flying blind. And I'm not gonna give away my age, but that was before Google. So she didn't even have Google to figure out what to do and what was normal, kind of thing. And I have a little bit of a bio about her, and one thing she did say was, she said, abortion was never an option. And I can't help but wonder in my spirit if maybe, just maybe, she didn't tell anyone because someone would have said, there's the exception. Rape equals abortion in our mindset, in our worldview, so we're going to guide you to abortion. I don't have any proof of that. I don't know that. It's something I just kind of can't help but wonder. And what we do know is that when she finally did break her silence and finally did share with her family, who then got her the care that she needed, she decided her best option was to parent through adoption. And I use that word specifically, parent through adoption, because if we truly, truly believe that life begins at conception, end all be all, there's no exception to that, if we believe that, that means the moment I was conceived, she became a mother. So that at that moment, she instantly began thinking for two. She instantly began making decisions, not just for herself, but for her child. And just like I was forced to wear a helmet when I rode my bike down the giant hill in our neighborhood, just like you give your children curfews because you want them to come home in a safe hour, she immediately had to start making decisions. What is best for this baby that the Lord gave me? I didn't ask for it. I don't understand. Let's be honest, I didn't want. But I now have to start thinking for two. I don't know her story, but I knew that she got her forever family through adoption. And so I don't know when her decision was made, but she had a really good experience with that. And so she said, it's good. Adoption is good. It's biblical. It's how the Lord creates families. And so I'm going to choose to parent through adoption. And one of the questions I get asked so very often is, well, what's it feel like to be given away? Or I get that comment of, I'm really sorry your mom didn't want you. And I first say, my mom wanted me. But I say, no. She made the most sacrificial, love-bearing gift that anybody could ever make by saying yes. She didn't have to say yes to my life at all, but she did. And then she didn't have to say yes to a good life. She could have just figured it out. But she said, no, her best life is going to be to parent through adoption. And then someone else said yes to me when my parents said yes to their call to be adoptive parents. I'm not going to tell their story because it's their story to tell. But the Lord grew their family through adoption. But they didn't have to say yes to that. They could have pushed back against that just like we push back against so many other decisions. But they said yes to that. And at a time in my life where I didn't have a voice for anything, I had two sets of people saying yes to me when no one else could. And so I tell people all the time, I don't mean to force the issue on you, but now you have to deal with me. I tell people all the time, I don't mean to stand in your face, but I can't exactly walk away from this because I am the exception to the rule. I shouldn't be here, and I shouldn't be an Opelika. And if my birth mother had never said yes to me, or if my parents had never said yes to me, I wouldn't have grown up here. I wouldn't have been baptized in that baptistry right behind us. I wouldn't have stood on stage with 50 of my closest friends to tell you how our mission trip to Chicago went. I wouldn't have gotten a scholarship from this organization to go to college on. None of that would have happened, but it did happen because two people said yes when they didn't have to say yes. So I'm going to tell you the same thing. I don't mean to push it in your face. I don't mean to stand up here and put my hands on my hips and force the issue. But now you have to deal with me. Now you have to think, I'm a face to that exception. So as you hear the rest of the testimonies, as you hear what they're doing at Women's Hope, this ministry is your local ministry. These are the men and women who are in the trenches every single day with the girls, just like my birth mother, who are just as lost as she was, that need answers, that need support, that need love. So as you hear the rest of their testimonies, as you hear them, keep that in mind, that let me be the face that you can put with that ministry, because that makes it a little bit more real.